Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sit Tea Talk Shit with me, Megan. How we all doing? I feel like it's been a while since I've did one of these by myself. But I thought, why not just have a wee catch up today? I've had a lot going on recently. So I've not really been in the studio. I started a new job this week. Which it's exciting stuff, but it's also very scary at the same time. Like, I've been in hospitality for 5 years now, and going from commercial restaurants to like private members, so it's a golf club that I work at now, it's totally different. But I'm really enjoying it so far. And it's a lot, to be fair. Like, I've been going home absolutely shattered, 20,000 steps a day, which I normally do 5,000 because I wake up at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. But do you know what? I'm actually very happy because the previous job that I was in, I couldn't say anything because I worked there, but I'm absolutely not going to hold back anymore. But the previous job that I was in was like shocking. I'm not going to mention where it was because I have in a past episode, and I honestly thought I was going to get hit with a lawsuit because people were absolutely fuming about what I said. So we'll maybe stray away for that. But yeah, so I've had a lot going on. I've been enjoying myself. I'm also like doing a exchange trip with my uni, going to Lapland, which is exciting. I go in a month. Less than a month? No, exactly a month ago. So I've been planning that, had to get the money for that. Just so much going on, like, behind the scenes. So today I decided, why not come on by myself, get a little episode together so that I can put something out on the channel, just like a little update, something that everyone will enjoy. But basically, so I've got a little blue folder here. I was doing a bit of a clear out, talking to my family, and I remembered that when I was 10 years old, for a personal project in school, I decided that obviously when you're 10, you have been through so much in your life. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. 10 years old, and honestly, I was commenting on things that I probably haven't even experienced. So what I did was, I wrote an autobiography. 10 years old, autobiography. Now, this is nuts. Reading back through it, some of the things that I've said, it's a masterpiece. That's all I can really say, to be honest. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go through it, and I'm just going to read it to you, and just kind of experience it together, because I know everyone in the world has like different stories, different things that they did when they grew up and everything, and I love hearing these stories. So I was like, why not bring this in today, show the people, and then see if you guys get like a kick out of it like I did. So on the front page, I've got a big fat photo of myself. I had the cheekiest smile ever, and I got away with absolute murder. I could have murdered someone and everyone would be like, oh, it's fine, just because of how cute I was. I don't know what happened, but I suppose that's just age, innit? So my gran helped me write this, so I can't take full credit for it, because reading through it, it's written very well. You can see the bits where I have decided I'm going to change it up and write for myself. But yeah, I'm just going to dive right into it. I'm not going to read the full thing. I feel like we'd be here for ages because it's mega long. But I'm just going to share some of the memories that I had when I was growing up. So apart from the introduction, the first page we have, it's all falling apart because I literally wrote this like 14 years ago. It's about me. So it says my name, born 26th of July 2000, slim blonde, blue eyes. My personality is funny, good mixer, very stubborn, and very grumpy. Fair enough. My favourite colour was blue. My favourite colour's never been blue. Like, I lied so much in this, I don't know why, and I don't know if my gran was just guessing and maybe thought like, I'll write blue and then Megan will change it, but definitely didn't. But my favourite colours have never been blue. Favourite group, JLS, of course. Still love JLS. Pop idols, Justin Bieber and Rihanna. I don't like Rihanna. I've never listened to Rihanna. That's another big fat lie that I've just told for the benefit of absolutely nobody. My favourite people I've written, my family, my friends, and one teacher. Just one teacher, and fuck the rest of them. I love surprises, I love dressing up, and I love parties. Don't like any of those anymore. I hated housework, x-rays, and mince. I don't know why I wrote mince. I don't hate mince. Like, anyway, let's move on. So my first chapter, right, is my early days. And obviously, it's very short because I was 10. Like, how much can you write about your early days? And obviously my gran wrote this because you don't remember anything, like, below the age of 4. Well, I don't anyway. Maybe that's just me. So it all started at 9:43 a.m. on the 26th of July 2000. I was born by section and weighed 8 pounds. That's nuts. So I don't think I weighed exactly 8 pounds. I think I weighed more than that. My sister weighed I think she was 3 pounds something. I was a fat baby. Like, I was huge. Like, honestly, I think my mum's probably blessed that she had a section, because trying to push me out, that would have been a fucking task. And then I go on to talk about, the council. I don't know why I start talking about the council in the first paragraph. I still don't understand the council, but basically, when I was coming home from the hospital, our very first house, the council decided to move some of the fencing, which actually caused, a mice infestation in our old house. So we ended up having to live with my gran and papa for, my first couple months of being born, and we just moved across the road from them, and then a couple years ago we actually moved closer to them, so we moved across the road from our old house. So now they're 2 doors down, and they stare out the window at you and drink their tea and wave to you every time you leave. And do you know what? I love it. It's so cute, man. It's so cute. So the next part is, when you look at my baby pictures, you will see I was a bit chubby, didn't smile much, and was as bald as a coot. I don't know what that means, but wait, you'd never believe I'd end up a skinny malink with a mane of long curly hair. You can just tell that was written not by me. That's crazy. I don't know what any of that is. But then I say, when I was 1, I had lost some of my chubbiness and had a couple of teeth. Had a couple of teeth. That's just Larkcall for you. I think everyone in Larkcall only has a couple of teeth. And then I start, oh my gosh, I developed an allergy to some foods and had them running to hospital a few times as an emergency when I would swell up and couldn't breathe. When I was younger, I was allergic to absolutely everything. Most fruits, eggs was a big one. All animals with hair. I still am allergic to all animals with hair. Even my own dog, I'm allergic to her, but I'm kind of used to her. So my mum and dad, honestly, they were regulars at the hospital because I just decided to do mad shit. Knowing fine well I was allergic. My sister cracked a full carton of eggs over my head and I turned blue and stopped breathing, and that was, I nearly only made it to 8 months old because we decided to have an egg fight, but obviously I was too young to remember this. But it's good to know that I kept things fun a little bit. I kept things interesting, and then I talk so much about allergies, but then again, at the start of it, what can you actually write? So, it wasn't just mum and dad I had jumping through hoops, but gran and papa too. Gran and papa had to look after my big sister Caitlin and I every day. Caitlin's only 13 months older than me. We did an episode a while ago, so if you've watched it, you probably know. We're very close in age. So being very close in age, and then my mum and dad, just giving us over to my gran and papa, who probably at that point did not want to look after a 1-year-old and myself, just because we were wild. We actually were wild children. From all the home movies that I've watched, I'm surprised my mum and dad didn't try and get rid of us somehow, because I was an absolute challenge to deal with. But then again, some days we did go to playgroup. I have written that we did go to playgroup, and I think that's when my gran and papa enjoyed it, because my gran would take us to playgroup and then my papa would sit and watch the racing and get a breather from us for a while. And then I start talking about the caravan. I've already read this, but I read this the other day for the first time in 14 years. And it's so nostalgic. Like, it's given me some of the best memories ever that I didn't even know that I had. So then I start talking about the caravan. I talk about the caravan every single episode I do on this channel, I think. Just because I loved it so much. We're going to skip that bit because we don't really talk to a lot of our family anymore. Just certain things happen, you know, in everybody's families. Nothing against anyone, but some families just drift. Obviously, ours did. But, you know, I've got who I need, and that's all you really need, to be honest. One of the things I really liked when I was this age was going to tea rooms. So because I spent that much time with my gran and papa, I think I adopted a woman who was about 60 when I was 3, because I loved going to tea rooms, I loved going to car boot sales, auctions, loved an auction. And I feel like that's literally what you would do when you were 60 odd and had nothing. Saturday you would spend going to an auction or a car boot sale. One funny thing about me and eating out happened when I was 3 years old. Gran and Papa took me for my first pub lunch. When the waitress asked me what I'd like to drink, I said, "I'll have a small sherry, please." 3 years old is where I developed my alcoholic tendencies, clearly. But you know what? It's fun. It's funny. I enjoy it. I think this is fun. And then I start talking about being a ballerina. Never wanted to be a ballerina in my life. I'm such a liar in this. I think it was more a case of I had to get the word count up. So I just started making up lies to make it sound more interesting, because realistically, how interesting is your life when you're 10? It's not in the slightest. Most people who write autobiographies are 50, 60 when they've done all this stuff in their life and they've got things to comment on. I had done nothing except be a pain in the arse. But you know what? I got 20 out of 20 for this, so it paid off in the end. So my next chapter's toddler to schoolgirl. So I'm assuming this so this is pre-primary school. Talking about my obsession with baby Annabelle dolls. I loved my baby Annabelle dolls. It was baby Annabelle, and you would get the bath for them and the walker, and you would get the actual food, but obviously it was a doll, so it didn't eat the food, but the food was always gone, as if it just evaporated, went in absolutely nowhere, which still baffles me to this day. Another thing we loved was the Teletubbies. Me and my sister and our best friend Megan, we all dressed up as different Teletubbies, and we would wear these costumes everywhere. So I was the red one, I think it was Poe. My sister liked Lala, and our friend Megan, she was the purple one. I don't remember its name. And we would go everywhere wearing these costumes. If, I don't know, my friend Megan sadly lost her mum when she was 2, and we would always go over to her grave to put the flowers down. And our Teletubby costumes, we would go to the shops in our Teletubby costumes. It was I got the fright of my life when that happened. Anyway, let's carry on. But whenever the Teletubbies would come on, when it ended, my sister would start screaming the place down, crying her eyes out, because she didn't want it to end. So it was just a constant loop of Teletubbies on our TV every single day for a good few years, I'm assuming. While we all sat there dressed up in our Teletubby costumes, it probably never got washed because we never took them off. Which just makes us sound like smelly kids, but we weren't smelly kids, I promise. So my dad's family lived in Aberdeen. We only really got to see them every couple of months. At this age, we used to get very excited about visiting, as we got spoiled by everyone there. Our Auntie Linda would always buy us new toys. Uncle Graham gave us money, and my Uncle Brian would take us to the fun fair and the special ice cream parlour. It was Baskin Robbins, but we thought it was absolutely crazy at the time, because Baskin Robbins was just nuts. Nowadays you get all these ice cream parlours who make all their own flavours, and they're all over TikTok and everybody raves about them, blah blah blah. Baskin Robbins was the place to go. Just a wee cookie dough scoop and some sprinkles on the top, and that was me. I was happy for ages. I'm going to skip that bit just because, as I said, obviously, my family life isn't a lot of people's business. So I'm going to skip certain things that I don't really feel the need to talk about online. So then I start talking about something sad. So when I was 3, my great-gran died and we were all very upset. I don't remember much about her now, but I know I loved her and missed her. Caitlin and I used to write letters to her and leave them on the windowsill, believing the angels would come at night and deliver them to her in heaven. That is so wholesome. That's actually, oh, bless us. That was very cute, to be honest. They were always gone in the morning, which cheered us up, but obviously, realistically, my mum and dad stuck them in the bin, didn't they? We always thought she was the brightest star in the sky and we shouted good night to her. That was like, I think that was the first ever family death that we had when I was born. I don't think I had any before that, and obviously I was still really young, so I didn't understand what was going on, and obviously when you look back on it you do realise, but even looking back on it, my memory's kind of blurred. Like, I remember it and I remember certain things that we used to do, but it's very minimal. But at that age I feel like when you grow up, those are the kind of memories that start to fade away because you still are so young. But I don't remember ever leaving letters for her, but that is very, very cute, actually. And then I talk about joining the Rosebuds. I'm assuming that was just like the brownies. I remember I went to the brownies. I don't remember going to the Rosebuds. So I'm assuming that's the exact same thing. But, it was great. I loved it. And then you would put your pound down and then you would always do like these wee shows and stuff at the brownies, and I just went for the badges. Like, I would go to things for the badge and for the uniform and then leave. So it says here that I went to a dance class and I left as soon as I got the uniform. I went to the Girls' Brigade and I left as soon as I got the uniform. I think I just liked having things to prove that I went, even if I only went once. Like, I remember I went to Sunday school once because they had like a pizza party and a movie night. That was the only time I went because I wanted the pizza. At least I went though. At least I did these things, even though I might have only got the uniform. I went to like one. I joined a thing called the Harriers, which was a running club, and I went once. And because I'm quite a fast sprinter, I'm a fast runner. Not good at cross country. I'm not good at like running for longer than like 200 meters. And I was running around the track my very first day at Harriers and collapsed and literally had an asthma attack and never went back again because I was like, yeah, I'm absolutely not about to do that to myself. I'm sure I could find something else to do in that time. I probably went to a different dance class and got the uniform and then left again. Oh my gosh. So at our old caravan site, we had two. The first one we left when I was about 6 years old maybe. But so at the caravan is where I learned to do a lot of things like riding a bike. And I actually remember this moment exactly. So in the caravan site, it was very small. It wasn't like Craig Tara. It wasn't one of the ones where you could book a caravan for the week or for a long weekend. It was literally all the caravans there, people had bought. It was like a little community, a little family, which was great. And it was an outdoor pool. So there was a massive area around about it with a hill, and I'm not even kidding, the hill was so steep. So obviously I learned how to ride a bike when I was 4, So I caused panic at the caravan site. I'd only learned that day to ride without stabilisers, and the next thing I went off on my own and rode down the big hill with one leg hooked over the handlebars like the big boys do. And at that point, so we all used to get all the mums and dads and grands and papas to bring their garden chairs and watch us do all this stupid shit in the middle of the grass. Like, we would put on dance shows, we would do our own like Olympic games and stuff like that, like sports days. And it was in the middle of summer, and obviously I'm going down this hill, legs hooked over the handlebars, like the bike was going absolutely crazy. I was screaming, laughing, thinking this was hilarious. My dad and my mum were trying to chase me, like everybody pure panicking, thinking I was about to go right into the edge of the pool and just go flying. I mean, I didn't understand what all of the fuss was about. I got a round of applause from my pals and a good telling off from my dad, as you do. I feel like to this day, my dad probably wanted to laugh, because I can imagine it was quite funny. Obviously for your friends when you're that age, it is going to be quite funny. I remember a lot about the caravan from the age of 3 because it was a safe place. We were allowed to run all over the place. That made no sense. With all the other children, we used to have secret dens in the bushes, go to the burn looking for tadpoles, splashed about in puddles and danced in the rain. There was a wee hut in the woods and it had a rope swing. That's very true. So it's now closed off. We visited not that long ago, so you can't get to it anymore, but there was a little rope swing across the burn, and we used to all get together, like 20, 30 of us, and go on the hunt for Bambi, because obviously there was deer living in the woods, and we just all believed at that age that it was Bambi, and that it was like an enchanted wood. That was like my peak imagination, genuinely. Like, I think I'm a little creative person because I had such a good imagination when I was younger. Like, on the hunt for Bambi, that's how I spent my time. Like, it was actually just fun. Oh my god, at this age I had grown hair at last. Until I was 3, my hair was like white blonde. You genuinely couldn't see it. So I was literally I was bald until I was 3, and people used to think I was a boy for 3 years of my life. Like, my mum used to get so pissed off. She used to dress me in all pink, and people would still be like, "What's his name?" Just because I was bald. Like, not about that. I thought my mum was as beautiful as Rapunzel, and my dad was my hero and a real knight in shining armour. Love that for me. I still managed to keep them on their toes with my illnesses and accidents. I got chicken pox and was told not to scratch the spots. Of course I did scratch, and from all the spots on my body, the only mark left had to be where it's always going to be seen. The pothole between my eyebrows. I've got like a spot, I don't even know where it is, but obviously when I had chicken pox I scratched it, and it's literally like, it's like a big massive indent in my head, right between my eyebrows. And see, to be fair, I don't notice it anymore, but I used to, and I used to hate it because people used to comment on it and just like sit and poke at it thinking it was funny, and it's just really not. I like to think of that as bullying. I also managed to climb up the front of the washing machine and run along the worktop and over the rings of the cooker, which were still hot. I actually vividly remember this. My mum had sweets on top of the fridge, and the washing machine was on the other side. So I climbed up the washing machine and went to walk across the worktop. And as soon as I got to the cooker, I stood on the hob, which had just been turned off. And I got like mental burns on the bottom of my foot. I couldn't walk properly for like 2 months or something. I had to wear a special slipper. Like, I got carried absolutely everywhere. I have not got a single scar on my foot from that, which everyone thought I would have a massive scar from it, but I just had this big massive bubble, just fleshy burn on the bottom of my foot because I wanted like the starburst on top of the fridge and I wasn't waiting. I was actually, like, looking back, I was a very impulsive child. I still am quite an impulsive person. If I think of something, I want to do it, even though sometimes it's not, like, I'm not capable of doing it, or I don't live somewhere where I am able to do it, but I still get in my mind, like, if I want to do something, I will do it, and I will do it one day. So in my mind, I was obviously like, I want those sweeties, and there was nothing getting in the way of me getting those sweeties. So I absolutely roasted my foot. They used to tell me I was going to get it chopped off, and I think that terrified me more. So see, after that, I don't think I ever stood in the worktop again. I think I was always like, "Mum, can I have those sweets? Mum, can I have those sweets?" But yeah, that was a terrible time, to be honest. Like, imagine being 4 years old and not being able to go run about with your friends. Like, I was just like a little hobble, like hobbling everywhere, or mum and dad had to carry me everywhere. It was shit. Yeah. So do you know what? Good times. I'd say this was probably like peak fun for me, peak childhood, just because I got away with absolute murder. You could do anything, just anything at all, never got into trouble for it. But that's because I was never in the house, like, just always out playing with my friends, which was good. I remember going to see my uncle's timeshare at Aberfoyle. It was autumn, and as we drove there, I noticed the leaves on the trees were yellow and gold. The hills looked as if they were black, but this turned out to be heather. It was the first time I ever noticed how nice places could be, and I didn't want to come home. I don't remember. I remember the timeshare. Like, I genuinely think my uncle is totally loaded with money. And if I ever need like tapped money, I'm absolutely going to ask him from now on, because he must have some amount of money for the size of the house that he had. Like, I remember I choked on an apple on the way there as well, and we had to pull over, and my gran had to like shove her hand down my throat to pull out this bit of apple. So I don't eat apples anymore. Never really ate them. I remember playing at home in the garden on the swings and bouncy castle and being out on our bikes. I also liked when it snowed. My writing is shocking. And we sledged down the grassy hill and made snowmen. In the summertime, Dad used to take us up the hill and teach us how to play golf, which was fun. I actually had my own golf club. Don't think I ever hit the ball. Like, I'm shit at golf. And then I start talking about making friends. Like, what my very first best friend, Angel. We're still friends to this day, I'd say. But yeah, so we became friends when I was like 4 o'clock. When I was 4 o'clock. I'm sleep deprived. Oh my gosh. And then I start talking about going to Trin. This is such like, I love reminiscing on this stuff. It's just mental that to look back on this and think I actually had such a good childhood just from doing the bare minimum. Like, the amount of fun I got out of just going to the park, and we would always pretend to be like wrestlers, and you would go out on your bike and you would pretend that you were driving a car and going to refuel, and it was just good. Like, just a lot of fun. Like, I feel like people these days don't have that imagination. Like, I think we have like turned out to be just a fun and smart, like quite responsible generation, just because we went out and did shit. We didn't sit in on TikTok all the time, even though I'd do that at age 23. But yeah, so we used to drive to Trin and back. There used to be like 30 of us, and we would get in all different cars, and we would go to the chip shop for fish and chips, and then we would sit down and eat them on the wall that looked out onto the sea. And then we would run about the beach with carrier bags, making a collection of anything we could find before climbing over the rocks to go look for crabs. And then we would go to the sweetie shop. There was a sweetie shop in Troon, I don't know if it's still there, and it did all the old school sweets, like Stocky Rocks, everything. And we refused to leave until we got to go to that sweetie shop. I'm going to take a drive down there one day and see what it's like, because I feel like it's going to have changed a lot since I was younger from what I remember. But Trin's the kind of place that I just feel like it's going to be the same no matter what, just maybe a wee bit more modern, more houses, you know. I remember this. I really hope my gran and papa still have this somewhere. So obviously I feel like every Scottish child knows songs like the Jelly Piece song, Mama's a Millionaire, all stuff like that. So they basically made like a mixtape of all these songs which we would listen to on the drive. Car windows went down, the music went on, and we all drove around with all of us singing songs as loud as we could. Like, that was, see, I really wish I remembered a lot of this stuff and didn't just like hear it, because I feel, I had such an amazing childhood. I'm going to keep on saying that. It was just unreal. I probably remember the bit about singing because I've always loved music and dancing. Dad said that at this age I had a great memory for songs and never forget the words. I loved my dance class too and thought I was a bit of a ballerina and had a toy ballet rail at home. I actually did. I climbed on it one day and collapsed and broke my arm. No. So we had a pool table in our room which sat at the back, and in front of it I got a ballet bar. It was just one of those little shitty kids ones with a little ballet mat. And I decided one day it would be a good idea to sit on the bar. I think I've explained this story. And I ended up falling because I was swinging on it, but I blamed someone else for pushing me because I didn't want to admit that I was being an absolute pain in the arse. And I fell backwards, and as I did, I think my hand got stuck in one of the pockets for the pool table and just snapped. I think I was 7 at this time. Worst pain I've ever been in my life. Like, it was genuinely horrible. And I was just walking about, my little hand was just dangling there. And I ended up like telling my mum that my friend pushed me, so she got the blame for it. Bless her. I'm so sorry to this day. It's funny that when my broken arm had to be x-rayed, it didn't bother me one bit. But the year before, I was sent for a chest x-ray and I was terrified. I carried on like a daft thing and ran around hiding under chairs and tables. In the end, they gave up and I never got that x-ray. I've still not had that x-ray. Because it's like, it looks as if it's going to clamp on you. And I don't know why that gave me the fear so much. So like I ended up running about the room. My mum and the nurse had to chase me. I was screaming the place down, like hiding under the sinks, like trying to batter the woman at age, don't know what age I was, like probably like 6, maybe younger than that. No, because it was preschool, so I must have been about 4 or something. And I'm literally trying to batter a nurse as if I must have thought I was solid. I still make my gran come to the dentist with me as well because I hate going to the dentist. I don't know what it is. I think it's the smells. Like the smells of the hospital, the smells of the dentist. It gives me such anxiety. Like I need someone with me. Even at the age of 23. I'll admit that. There were a lot of little things that used to scare me for no good reason. And yet, in a lot of other ways, I was a bit of a daredevil. That's very true. I feel like I'm like that now. One of the things that scared me at this time was that I was now nearly 5 and was about to start school. Because my sister started school the year before, I remember she used to get upset every morning when she had to line up to go into class, so I assumed it was a terrible place. It was a terrible place at the time. School was great, but at the same time, there was a lot of people in my class that I think have turned out for the worst now. Don't like to associate. Oh yeah, it came to the time to buy my uniform and I was so scared. I genuinely think I must have been like 5 stone until I was like 12. I was tiny. Like to get clothes that fitted me was a pain in the arse. Like even, like I think I was wearing like 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 clothes genuinely when I was like 12. Like my little cycling shorts used to flap in the wind because my legs were that small. So whenever it came to like school shopping, my mum and my gran always dreaded that day so much. Like I think they probably went home and cried their eyes out just because I was such a pain in the arse. Yeah, so my gran said I was the only person she knew whose lycra shorts actually sagged and wafted about their thighs. Why have I used the word wafted? That's nuts. When the big day came, I set off in my new uniform with my Disney princess school bag and lunchbox. Those were the days. A big pink Aurora school bag. I was really scared but settled down when I saw some of my friends from nursery and Angel were in my class. This was the start of a new adventure for me and a big change in my life. I wonder what I'm about to start talking about in this one. Oh yeah, so I remember a lot about the year I became 5 years old. That was the year it was decided to move our caravans to a different site, where there were more things for Caitlin and I to do. I was the first person to see the site we were on now. Gran and Papa gave me a day off nursery to go and look around with them. Brilliant. I used to get days off nursery for going to Aberfoyle, going to see a new caravan site. I loved it. And like I would always say to my Gran and Papa, because we would go there before school and before nursery because my mum and dad worked. And you would always just need to like put on like, know how in Mean Girls when she goes, I'm sick? That was me near enough every single day. Just because they would be like that, oh yeah, that's fine, just take the day off, and then you would run fucking riot for the rest of the day. The move meant I spent my 5th birthday with new friends. The first friends I met there were Scott, Kelty and Skye. I'm still friends with these people. We're actually like all trying to meet up right now, which is getting a bit of a pain in the arse because we all have jobs. Both Caitlin and my birthdays are in July, so we've always been at the caravan. As lots of children had birthdays during the holidays, we always had lots of parties to go to. Sometimes the parties were in the hall or outside if it was sunny. A couple of times we went with friends to the animal park at Ayr, spelt AIR, and it was great fun. Grandad sometimes came to the caravan from Aberdeen for our parties too. On the same year that I was 5, my papa was 65 and the whole family went to Craig. 65? That's nuts. I remember, see, I used to just always, see, for like 6 years of my life, I believed my mum was like 36. I just didn't think she aged at all. Like, 65 is nuts. Because he's now 83 or about to be 83. One of the two. Sorry, Papa, not too sure. We went to Craig Tara for a long weekend to celebrate. It was great fun with lots of things for us to do. I think it was Butlins at the time though. One of the things I liked best was the bungee jumping, said like a daredevil. It's literally you're bouncing on a trampoline with a little stupid strap around you as if you're going to fall off. On his actual birthday, we all had a surprise day out for him. It was a lovely sunny day and we went to Largs and took the ferry over to Millport. I was scared stiff going on the ferry as it seemed to me as big as a cruise ship. I genuinely thought I was on a cruise ship. But I hate water and I hate boats. And I think this is one of the reasons why, because I think this was like the first time I'd ever been on one. And to this day, I still hate going on boats. Like, it's just not for me. I just get terrified that I'm going to sink. See, knowing my luck, it probably would. We had a picnic down at the beach and played on some rides before we went back to Largs. When we got there, the Waverley paddle steamer came in tooting its horn. Don't know what that is. With its music playing. We had great fun at the fun fair before going for dinner. I was such a cute child. Like, I think if I had to write stuff now, every second word would be a swear word. And it would all be like, I don't care, I hated this, I hated that. Although I was nervous on my first day of school, I really liked it and didn't want to go home. My teacher was Mrs. Shelton. I remember I did my work experience back at my old primary school and Mrs. Shelton actually cried when she realised that I wasn't a little baby, like a little girl anymore, because she was like, oh, she was my favourite teacher. I hope she's doing well. Love you. Start talking about my friends, Angel, Ellie, Annie, like my friends who have children now. That's crazy. 14 years ago, this was like, I just thought this was going to be my life forever. And now we're all like, people are grown up, having kids. Oh, it's nuts. This is actually crazy. This was the first year that I joined a proper dance class and went to the Rosebuds. I still don't remember the Rosebuds, which is, the junior version of the Brownies. Now I know. I wasn't a Rosebud for long as I thought it was boring. I preferred being out and about on my bike and just running around. Do you know, I can't really ride a bike anymore. I used to be able to ride it with like my hands down. I remember there was one time at the caravan when me and 3 of my friends were going down the hill on our bikes and I took my hands off the, what they called, the steering wheel, not the steering wheel, you know what I'm talking about, the handlebars. And it was like, honestly, it was like a game of dominoes. Like my friend Jocelyn fell into me, I fell into the other girl, and then she fell into the other girl at the end. And our dad was filming it. And at the bottom of the hill, we were all just in this big pile, bikes, legs everywhere, arms everywhere, screaming. And he was standing at the top of the hill, like giggling to himself, still filming. And then eventually went, oh shit, and like put the camera down and started running. The last I heard from them, they were going to send that into You've Been Framed, which was still a thing back then. Whether or not we were on it, I don't know, but I didn't receive any money from it, so I might query that. The things I was into then were Barbie dolls, painting, dressing up and doing collections of things lying around. Those collections being I would go out and dig up worms and put them in a shoebox. Grim, I know. Caitlin and I used to do a collection and then get buckets of water and turn them into what we called a witch's brew while we stirred it and said, toil and trouble, make it bubble. Caitlin used to do that. I didn't. Like, that's not my vibe. I liked collecting the worms and the wasps and the ladybirds. Then I started talking about my favourite Disney movie was Monsters, Inc. It really wasn't. And my favourite TV programme was Thomas the Tank Engine. Absolutely wasn't. I'm such a liar. By the time I was 6, I started to lose my shyness and was more confident about some things. This was when my teachers got me to work harder. I don't know. Then I started talking about making more friends, but I'm not friends with these people anymore, so we'll leave that out. I started going to gymnastics class. I went to gymnastics for years and I still could not do a cartwheel. But I could do a backflip. I could do a backflip. I couldn't do a cartwheel, work that one out. I also liked making things with hammer beads. I was obsessed with these things. And then we went to M&D's, Loudon Castle. Loudon Castle, I feel blessed to have been able to go to Loudon Castle. That was like, the best times ever. That summer I really got into going to car boot sales and auctions. Wild for a 6-year-old. We went every month to a car boot sale in Troon and always found good toys to buy. The best car boot sale is in Ayr, AIR, and it's huge. Ayr has the best bouncy castles and rides to play on. But why am I 6 years old and pure raving about car boot sales? Like, I feel like I'm probably the only 6-year-old in the world who loved that. Like, it's weird. Mrs. Shelton, start going on about Mrs. Shelton again, just saying she was a great teacher. That was the year I discovered I was quite a good runner and did well at sports day. It was also the first time I did a painting for the art exhibition, which my gran still has. This was like, you would think that an actual artist painted this. Wasn't even paint, it was like chalks, and I drew a hill and a burn. Don't know why, but it looks so good. Like, I'm going to rake that out, and if I find it, I'll bring it in. I started to like maths and I loved to read, and I joined the walking club. I don't like maths, I never have. I don't read. I think the last book I read was, apart from this, when I was in school and I had to read a book, and I joined the walking club. That sounds like something that was created for old people to keep their fitness up, the walking club. But anyway, out of school, I was into rollerblades, Heelys, Polly Pocket. I enjoyed making things like collages. I was still going to gymnastics and was in my dancing show. I got to play the bingo at the caravan, and I would go to pool parties at the weekends. And then, I keep on saying, like, I loved maths, I hated maths, I loved maths. It was like a love-hate relationship, but now thinking back on it, it was always a hate relationship. I still can't do maths. If someone says fraction to me, I would run away crying. My favourite subjects were computing and PE. That's a big fat lie. No, they weren't. School days were great. Sports days were great, and I was winning races. I was actually a fast runner. Like, whenever we would go, I joined an athletics club, and whenever we would go to like competitions and stuff, my teacher would always make me go last, because he was like, if your team is running behind, by the time I went for it, we always came first. I don't think I ever lost a race, even though it was primary school. So, I mean, is what it is. But I was like the Usain Bolt of Matting Hill Primary School. This was the year I broke my arm. I was a very, very accident-prone child. I think I broke my arms 4 times total. So I had to give up gymnastics. I don't think I ever went back after that, because after I broke my arm, I was terrified to do anything that put pressure on it, because I thought it was just going to break again. I still went to dance class. I joined the Brownies, and I joined a drama group. I did actually join a drama group, and it was probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life, because we were all absolutely shit. But that's what can you really expect from like children at that day and age. Do you know what I mean? We did like a play about like sharks, and I was a shark, like wearing a white t-shirt and like shorts, a shark with an American accent. Like, explain that one to me. Then I started talking about my mum and that were getting fed up with me, because I kept on changing my clubs and groups. By that time, I'd given up the Brownies for the second time, stopped and restarted both dancing and drama classes. I joined and left the Girls' Brigade. Every time I joined something, I got the uniform and then left. Fair enough. Then I say that one of my favourite things to do was swimming. I can't swim. Like, I genuinely can't swim. Like, if I go on holiday, I'll wear armbands in the pool. Because I just hate it, and more than likely I will not go in the sea, because there's sharks and fish, and I don't want them nibbling on my feet. I loved Nanny McPhee and Ice Age. That's nuts. My favourite TV programmes were Hannah Montana and The X Factor. I was right into music, especially Lady Gaga. I think that's because my dad's favourite CD at the time was Lady Gaga, The Fame Monster, and that was my CD. But He would play it in the car anytime we went to Aberdeen. I think he loved it more than me. That year was kind of a showbiz year for me too. As I said, I changed from being shy into a bit of a crazy chick. And the caravan site and the school choir gave me every opportunity to show off. The school choir, they would always put me at the back away from the microphones because you could still hear me. I thought I was unreal at singing, and I'm absolutely shocking. We did a Christmas CD, which my gran and papa still have, and my class sang Winter Wonderland. You can't hear any of them because all you can hear is me, and it's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life, but at the same time it's like, it's funny. Good memes, you know. Every weekend at the caravan I was up on stage at the karaoke, sometimes in a group, sometimes on my own, and we would always sing Adele, Someone Like You, and our friend Scott would always go up there and sing Jason Mraz, I think, a song called I'm Yours, and we would like actually battle it out to see who was better. And slowly people would start leaving the big hall when we took over the karaoke because we were all so shit. This is an interesting one. So in the spring of that year, a television comedy show called Happy Holidays was filmed on the site, and it was good fun watching the filming. The stars of the show were Ford Kiernan and Karen Dunbar, and they are really funny people to talk to. One day there was only Mum, Dad and Caitlin and me in the games room when Ford and Karen came in. Caitlin and I were on the dance machine. I was unreal at the dance machine. I used to put it on all the hard levels, could do it with my eyes shut, could do it backwards. I must have spent about 50 quid a day on the dance machine. Like, I was unbelievable. They decided to have a turn on it too. What a laugh. Like, having a turn on the dance machine with Ford Kiernan, Jack was still game. Like, at that time I didn't have a clue who they were, but see now looking back, that's unreal. Who else can say they did that? Nobody at all. What a laugh, exclamation point. They were absolutely rubbish at it. I'd like to say that the Happy Holidays programme was good, but it was absolutely rubbish too. Fair enough. At least I was honest about it. But it is really shit. If you get the chance to look it up, you need to look it up on YouTube. It's horrendous. But my gran and my papa and like her pals Doreen and Eddie, they would always go walking about when they were filming to try and get in the background of it. Like, my gran wanted her 15 minutes of fame so badly. And they would always like try and shoo them off, and she still tried her absolute hardest to get in the frame. But I think that was why I started enjoying like drama and production and filmmaking and stuff, because it was actually really exciting to watch the whole thing. Like, and they would obviously do like 5-10 takes for a scene and stuff like that. At the time it was like adult humour, so I didn't understand it, which is maybe why I thought it was rubbish. But looking back on it, it was really fun to watch. And it did like pique my interest. So I feel like that's maybe why I got into filmmaking. And then I wrote, I can't believe I'm writing about my last school year already. Yes, this is it. Primary 6 and this project. Primary 6 isn't your last year of school. Is it? No, it's primary 7, so I'm a liar again. What am I like this year? ? Certainly not the quiet, shy, wee girl of 5 years ago. Nowadays, I'm noisy, nosy, can't sit still for 2 minutes, a bit of a cheeky chops and a bit of a wind-up merchant where my sister is concerned. I'm no better about joining and leaving things. This is my 3rd time now in the Girls' Brigade, and I've tried the Harriers, given up the choir, started and stopped Zumba, given up cross-country and changed dance classes. I feel like maybe I just don't have the patience for certain things, I think. Like, I remember I moved dance classes because I didn't like one person in the class. And that was when I was, 9, 10? What age are you? And yeah, 10. Because I didn't like one person in the class. I'd probably still do that, to be fair. Like, you can just tell in my face if I don't like somebody. And then I start talking about going school trips. The next best school thing about is being in the Scottish Opera. Every Scottish child knows about the Scottish Opera. This was the worst thing I think I've ever done in my life. It was horrible, and you had to learn the songs whether you wanted to or not. It was like you were forced against your will. Like, I think if I said no, they would have stood there and held me and made me sing the songs no matter what. And then they did a production of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, which I wasn't in because I was probably far too loud. And then we did a caravan talent show. So the first caravan talent show we got like a dance group together. There was 6 of us, and our friend Megan's big cousin came up with the dance, and it was to Bass Hunters Now You're Gone. And we actually won. Like, we came first. We called ourselves Girls Are Allowed. That is so creative. But the year after, my sister got into guitar and sorry, she got into guitar and decided she wanted to do something by herself. So we were competing. I did another dance and my friends pretended to be the judges. So they acted as Simon, Piers, Amanda and Sharon, and I was the dance act. We won 3rd prize, but Caitlin won 1st prize for singing and playing guitar. She sang a song about a drunken sailor. To this day, I still don't know. But she definitely got like the musical genes. I just got the absolute craziness. Nowadays, I'm really, really into music, especially JLS and Rihanna. My iPhone is never out my hand and I'm always on my computer. I love fashion and got my hair cut shorter, but my friends said they really liked when my hair was really long. This is me clearly like grasping at straws because I should not be writing an autobiography at 10, so I start talking about getting a haircut. What is the point in that? And then the winter has been really horrible and the snow and ice lasted too long. This is like an English essay. My mum has been in hospital 3 times since December 2, which is sad. You're right, Megan, that was sad. And that was like the really bad winter where you actually couldn't go out your house and drive anywhere, so we couldn't actually go and see her. But she's all good now. My mum's got quite a lot of health issues, so she's now the regular at the hospital instead of me. Every time she goes, she's in the same ward, in the same room and in the same bed, so I genuinely think it's like left for her because they know that she'll be back eventually. All the spring bulbs are coming up in the garden now, so it won't be long till it's nice weather and I can get back to doing all the things I like to do. There's hardly any school days this April, so I hope it's sunny and I can be at the caravan for most of the time to catch up with my friends again. After April is over, there won't be many weeks left or being in P6. Then I'll be in my final year before going off to high school. I just hope the rest of my years at school are as happy as the last 5 3/4 years at Mackinhill have been. Very specific. But yeah, and then I don't actually know what I've got left. Right, I've fucked that. So now I've got a conclusion. When you are only 10 years old, you don't think much about your life. It's only because I wrote this autobiography I've thought through what has made me what I am today. It's been important. I've had a great family and friends, a nice house, and haven't had to do without very much. Where we live means I can get out into open space to do the things I like to do best. I've also been lucky enough to join groups and clubs, so I've never been bored. There've only been a few sad things in my life, so I suppose I've been lucky here too. School has educated me and given me lots of interesting places to go and things to do. It's also made me more confident about myself and my abilities. The other thing that has made me confident is being involved in the activities at the caravan. The freedom I now get to go places with friends is helping me to grow up. Oh, I've got another page. I think my life has been very happy and interesting so far. There are only a few things I'd like to change. It would be great if all my relatives lived closer to us and I saw them often. I retract that statement. With lots of money, we could afford to go to Disneyland and Mum could stop working too. The changes I'd make to myself are to stop picking up slang words and improve my attitude. Well, I can tell you 14 years later, you have done neither. So good luck to me. When I say how much I've changed in just 10 years, I can't imagine what I'll be like when I grow up. Hopefully my life will be as full and happy then as it has been now. What a wholesome little conclusion. And then we've got the acknowledgements, and this is where I exposed myself to the teachers who were marking this, but I feel like they still gave me 20 out of 20 because I wrote it. Firstly, I'd like to thank my mum and dad for giving me a great life. Also, many thanks to my family and friends for all they have done to make me happy. A special thanks goes to Caitlin for putting up with me. I don't tell her often enough. She is my best friend, as well as my sister. How cute. One last special thanks goes to my gran because she wrote this. Love to all, Megan. As if I'm saying thanks. Love to all, Megan, as if I'm signing like a fucking birthday card or something. But see, after I read that, right, there's loads of photos at the back. I don't want to get into the photos because there's like other people in them. And yeah, I don't really want to like expose their faces and stuff like that. But I kind of just wanted to bring this in today because when I found it, it was such like a reminiscence for me. And obviously I enjoy listening to other people's stories. So I thought that people would maybe enjoy listening to mine. Yeah. So honestly, if you've got any funny stories or anything like that, let me know because I've got an idea to expand on this 14 years later, which I probably won't say online because I think the stories that I've got nowadays, my gran and papa would knock lumps out of me. But yeah, I'm going to take my autobiography and be on my way. But thank you guys very much for watching. And yeah, come back next time. See you later. Bye.